Ole Gunnar Solskjaer continues to strengthen his Manchester United squad ahead of the new season. They've already signed Jadon Sancho. They've agreed a deal with Real Madrid for the transfer of Rafael Varane. Will there be more to come? This man can tell us. Dharmesh Sheth, good afternoon to you. What next then for Manchester United? It's looking like a busy summer there.
It is. Just a bit of information that I've received in the past few minutes concerning Rafael Varane. I'm told that the medical is not expected to happen until next week at the earliest due to the issues associated with quarantine and Rafael Varane coming from Madrid. But following the signing of Jadon Sancho for £73 million and, of course, the agreement that they've got with Real Madrid with Rafael Varane, I'm told that the bulk of Manchester United's incoming business is done. They do, though, remain in the market for a midfielder. But the future of Paul Pogba, that could yet have a say in any kind of incoming business with regard to a midfielder. What do we know about Pogba at the moment? Just to reiterate, his situation remains open. PSG remain interested. They're expected to make that interest more concrete in the coming days. He's got a year left on his contract, and while it seems unlikely he will sign a new contract with Manchester United, his representatives are still in talks with the club. And while the talks are still there, there is still that possibility. Reports emanating from France, though, suggest that his representatives have also talked to PSG already, and there seems to be a movement towards a closure on personal terms as far as Pogba and PSG are concerned. What about potential midfielders for United? Well, they've looked at a number during this transfer window. Rennes, Eduardo Camavinga, Bayern Munich's Leon Goretzka. As far as Camavinga is concerned, it is thought that he's leaning more towards a move to Spain. As far as Goretzka is concerned, it feels that there's a suspicion that Goretzka and his people might have been using Manchester United as a way of getting a new contract and a new improved contract at Bayern Munich. They've also been linked with Declan Rice. That's been there for 2 or 3 windows now. I'm told, as it stands, there are no plans to move for Declan Rice in this transfer window. And what's more, West Ham United simply aren't for selling in this transfer window, are the noises that we're getting from West Ham. Another name to keep an eye on, though, is Atletico Madrid's Saul Niguez. He's a player that Manchester United's recruitment team have been looking at. If you go back to 2017, though, Saul Niguez actually signed a new contract with Atletico Madrid for 9 years. So his contract is up in 2026. So any potential deal that any club would want to do with Atletico Madrid, I don't think Niguez would come very cheap.
Lots of potential incomings there. What about outgoings at United?
As it stands, there have been no offers for any of Manchester United's players at the moment. United, though, we think will look to sell some players, maybe release some players on loan just to free up wages, free up squad space as well. We reported yesterday that they would like to extend the contract of Axel Tuanzebe. He's got 1 year left with an option of a further year, with the potential of allowing him to go on loan for the forthcoming season, so that when he does come back, he doesn't simply have 1 year left on his contract. His value will be maintained. So if he was to perform well on a potential loan, then United would either say he's forming part of our plans for the future, or his value will be at a good level that they could dictate his transfer fee to a certain extent. Other players that United will consider allowing to leave potentially are James Garner, Phil Jones, who's still at the club, Andreas Pereira and Facundo Pellistri. Now, Pellistri's an interesting one. He's 19 years old. He's been featuring in their pre-season games, impressing in their pre-season games as well. I think he's looked at as a long-term option for Manchester United, but for now they want to see him develop at another club potentially. And so another loan spell hasn't been ruled out for Pellistri, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has said as much. Jesse Lingard is another case as well. He's been featuring and impressing during pre-season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says that he's in his plans for the moment, but I just get the impression that the later in the window we go, and depending on how much game time and how much squad time Jesse Lingard gets in the first 2 or 3 Premier League games in the season, that one could be revisited towards the end of this transfer window.
And just finally on Manchester United, they have been criticised in the past for the way they've gone about doing their transfers. Has this window seen a shift in their recruitment process?
It seems that they're doing much of their business early compared to previous transfer windows. If you go back to last summer, they signed Edinson Cavani and Alex Telles on deadline day. If you go back to the January before, Bruno Fernandes arrived on January the 31st. Odion Ighalo arrived with hours to spare on deadline day from Shanghai Shenhua. This time, there seems to be a little bit more harmony behind the scenes, and I think we can describe it as joined up thinking more than there has been before. The relationship between the manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the executive vice chairman, Ed Woodward, and the recently appointed football director, John Murtough, their relationship has been seen as key when they've tried to bring in the likes of Jadon Sancho and the agreement with Raphael Varane. It should also be pointed out that despite there being an outlay of close to £120 million when Sancho and Varane, and well, in particular Varane, gets completed, United are not immune to the financial hit that many clubs have taken during the pandemic. And I think there is an understanding and a joint understanding between the hierarchy at Manchester United that they won't necessarily be able to get every single target, every single priority, every single player and position that they want in this transfer window. But by the looks of it, they've moved quickly this time. Sancho in, Varane on his way, and still in the market for a midfielder.